don't mind tonight. Play per ego.
Depends. Will your friend, the footballer, be there?
Oh, friend, football friend.
Oh, what a superb goal. Stefan Moore, that is extraordinary from Ben Garuccio.
And welcome back to another episode of Football Friends with Ben and Stef. And it's a bit of an awkward one today.
It is. Well, what bit's awkward? My result on the weekend or your absolute disaster class in the Champions League?
Well, we spoke last time about, and we said it was like it's such a weird game because we played the Shopee Cup the week before and we didn't know what team would be played out and whatever else. And yeah, it was a weird game because we won 4-0 on the night, and now it's been turned over to a 3-0 loss due to myself and Rogerio Alves, China, we call him, was suspended, but nobody knew that we were suspended. So yeah, I actually don't even know how they found out we were meant to be suspended. I don't know if like Tampines Rovers figured it out or whether I don't know because we played on Wednesday and then we found out Saturday night. I've never been part of something like this, obviously, so it's a bit weird.
So what actually happened? Like, because AFC gives the teams, they gave your club the list of players that are eligible for the game. Is that correct?
Yeah, so obviously at the start of the tournament or whatever competition you're in, like they give you like the fucking guidebook or the rules and everything like that. So you know, all right, if I get 3 yellows, I miss a game. If I get whatever in the A League, it's 5, and then it resets. Whatever else. So I knew if I got 3 yellows, I was like, oh, I'm suspended. I did get one obviously in the typo the last game of the league of the group stage, and I remember thinking like, fuck, I reckon that was my 3rd yellow, but maybe it doesn't. I was like, it was such a stupid one because we're already through, but I was like, oh, maybe because we're going through to the knockout stages, it's cleared, like it will just reset obviously for the knockout stages. And that was on like early December. Then we obviously had our like 2-week break and didn't play games, didn't play Champions League for a while, and nobody ever said anything to me. So I just completely forgot about it. And then I was in the starting lineup at the training ground when we were doing shapes. I was like, oh well, obviously playing. And then I don't think anyone from the club, which is our mistake, obviously. Like again in the A League, I don't know whose job it is to actually at an individual club to kind of keep on track of this stuff, but there must be someone. I just also would have assumed the A League or, the AFC would send out a list to say these players are suspended for a game. And then 2 days before the game, when I think there's the press conference and you have a meeting with an AFC official match commissioner, and they gave us the list of, who's eligible, I guess. Every player was eligible, and our team manager is saying that he asked the question, like, is anyone suspended? And they said no. So that there, I don't know if it can be proven because it was literally like a word of mouth conversation. Obviously, the strangest thing I've seen the match eligibility thing, which maybe Lockie, the producer, can get on here potentially as well for people that are watching on YouTube. It literally states down the bottom, AFC take no responsibility for any of the information on this like match eligibility paper. And it's like, well, you're the fucking governing body. If you don't know, how are we meant to know how the rules work? English isn't their first language as well. And if you're reading it might be a bit confusing because like, well, if you get 3 yellows, you're suspended for a game, but it resets for the knockout stages. And then in the knockout stages, it's a different yellow card process, and that resets as well for the semi-finals. It's our mistake probably for not asking the questions as a club, but also if they're not going to tell you, I don't really understand how you could know. And the same thing happened last year for Sanfrecce Hiroshima with Val Jaman, who came across from MacArthur. And let's be serious here, the Japanese would be the most diligent people out there, crossing their T's, dotting their I's, whatever you can say, they would be doing everything to abide by the law, and they got done by it. So I think there's a clear issue with the process, right?
Yeah, maybe. Oh, it's a strange one. I've never been a part of anything like that. I don't really understand how AFC can release that paper and then say we take no responsibility for this paper, it's like, well, then who's governing this? And I don't really understand that. Like, surely in press conferences before the game, like maybe reporters or someone like that would be onto it. Surely they ask, like, obviously you've got a couple of suspensions for this game. Like,
Mm.
isn't that just public knowledge with these sorts of things? I don't really understand it.
Yeah, like you'd again, I don't know, like I don't know how anything works with this stuff, but like yeah, probably to reporters or like just match notes. It's like oh, like these players are suspended or these players are injured. I don't know. Like I just would have assumed like AFC is a pretty big organization and yeah, it's still our fault at the end of the day, obviously, as a club. Like, we need to be better. We need to know whether it's, someone in the office, whether it's, coaching staff, players. Someone could have obviously just raised the question if they thought about it. But I guess it had been a long time, like, 2.5 months almost since our last game in the competition. It's the knockout stages. So, yeah, I just don't know. I just really would assume that someone would tell you. It's like if you tried to field a player that's ineligible because they're not registered, like in your squad, they're not gonna just let you play with the player and then afterwards be like, oh, you shouldn't have played him. He wasn't registered. It's like, well, no, like you need to be registered. Why would they let you register a player on match day if he can't play? Like it's just that for me doesn't make sense. Like there's a match commissioner there. There's the referees that come into our change room for AFC games to check our shorts and our top to see if it's got the number on it. Like, isn't it more important to check that the players are even eligible to play the game?
Yeah, that's
So,
it's
yeah.
bizarre. That's really bizarre. So, what does this mean now? So, does that mean the game's been forfeited? You guys lost 3-0 technically. Does that mean that then you've served your suspension in that game and then you're able to play this next game? Or are you going
Well,
to go out
that's
and
what
play this game, win 5-0, and then they turn around and say, actually, Steph was still suspended?
like that's the craziest thing about it. Like we still don't know. Like we don't know. Like this is obviously we're recording Monday night, and at this stage we still don't know. Like how can someone from AFC not be able to give us the information? Like it's just crazy. So I like last night on Sunday, like we trained, and then the coach said, "Listen, just stay home with your family. Like I don't think you can play. It's Lunar New Year, so it's the New Year's in Vietnam, and everything's closed. So he's like, just stay with your family, like be with them. It's fine." And then like I'm about to go to bed, and then I get a message saying, "Actually, I think I've just looked this up. I don't know how the coach looked it up. Maybe on ChatGPT, literally." And he's like, I think you'll be able to play based on this. And then Lockie, the guru here, sent me something as well, said what happened with Jermaine last year, that he had a 3 game ban, I think it was, and one of the games did count as the forfeited game. So I think we can play, but we still don't know. So we're obviously training the tonight as well, Monday night, and we need to like, work on stuff. But it's like there's 2 players, can they play? Can't they play? It's just yeah, it's crazy. But I genuinely am just like, you know what, fuck, it's done now. Like it's frustrating because 4-0 win, like we deserve to win 4-0. We played them in the Shopee Cup before, we won 6-1. So we scored 10 goals in 2 games against them. Both games now essentially mean nothing because the Shopee Cup game was a bit of a dead rubber. And now we've got to turn it around, which I think we've got the ability to do so, but the mindset is going to be probably the most important thing because we just can't afford to concede a goal, and they obviously understand that they can park the bus, they can waste time, they don't need to score, they just need to concede 2 goals, and they'll still go through. They just sacked their coach, which is pretty funny because they're coming second in the league, and they just missed out on qualification in Shopee Cup, and they've now technically won 3-0 against us, but he got sacked. So it's a funny game, football, isn't it?
Tough crowd. Tough crowd over in Singapore. Well, if recent form's anything to go by, your last 2 games, what is it, 10-1 on aggregate.
Yeah,
So, look, funnier things have happened. It's just frustrating. Having to go
yeah.
into the game now, like 3-0 down, you're thinking, fuck, we might absolutely dominate, and they just park the bus, and we win 2-0, and then you're out of the competition from nothing to do with football. It's
Yeah,
pretty annoying.
yeah, and like it's again, it's our mistake. Obviously, rules are rules, so we needed to be better with it. But it's like I could have not played, and China could have not played, and I don't think the result would have been too different. So that's the frustrating part about it. But now it is what it is. We need to try and make history. Last year, Hiroshima couldn't get the job done against Lion City Sailors when this happened. We've obviously got a chance to do it, and I think like it's something that can really galvanize the group. And if you do get through this, like it'll be an unbelievable story, and then it really lifts the spirit for the rest of the season. Because in our heads, obviously we were thinking, "Fuck, we're through to the next round in the Champions League, pretty much. We're doing well in the league. We've got everything to play for," and now you're kind of just like, "Shit!" Like things have changed very, very quickly. But it's out of our hands now. It is what it is. We need to just get on with it and win 4-0.
Get the job done. And on the
Get
other
the job
side,
done.
the fucking Bulls. Trying to rely on the Bulls. I see you guys win 4-0. Thinking now it's over to the Bulls. Steph's probably coming back to Sydney. We got golf on the cards. And then they go and lose 2-0. No forfeit
Yeah.
there. Just they actually just
Forfeit
lost.
there. Yeah. It was, yeah, I actually watched like the second half. The first half I only saw bits and pieces. But Bangkok were really good. I was actually quite impressed with them, and I think MacArthur, yeah, not that there was heaps of chances in the game, but I think Bangkok were the better team. So it's different now. Like obviously playing back in Australia, it's a long travel for Bangkok United, and I think the Bulls can get the job done. But we went from thinking, all right, well at least Cong and Hanoi, my team's looking like we're going to get the job done. We just need to rely on them, and now it's we're relying on us to win 3-0 to take it to extra time, and for the Bulls to turn 2-goal deficit around for me to come back to Sydney. So the odds of that it wouldn't be high. I don't know if any bookies out there want to give us some odds on that, but it's not looking good. So let's
No,
see
not
in a
good.
couple of days' time.
Yeah, over to A-League action. I suppose we can start off with our disappointing result against Adelaide, which was, yeah, disappointing is probably the right word for it. Obviously at home. Again, a game that I was pretty confident going into. Not that I think Adelaide are a bad team, but I just backed us at home. And yeah, just really, really annoying, I think, recently, the form and the inconsistency that we've had. And yeah, letting in 2 goals is never good. I think the way that we probably lost it in the end was quite unfortunate, but kind of like the last weeks, it's a game where, it feels like it's up in the air. We're throwing numbers forward and then we're getting caught on counterattacks, which is obviously not good. You're opening yourself up to a lot of chances, and then the one that they eventually score is probably one that they shouldn't score. But they had, a lot of other chances as well. So did we, but I think when you're putting the game like that, it's a bit of a flip of the coin. Whoever takes their chances kind of wins.
Yeah, it was actually a good game. I watched it after a training session, and I think like I thought it was going to be a decent game, and it was actually like the quality was really really high. I just felt like the first half maybe Adelaide were having a more control, looked a bit better, I thought, and then in the second half it kind of flipped and it looked like you guys were the better team. But the problem is when you're dominating with the ball, obviously you kind of leave more space behind, and then every time they won it, they did look dangerous. So I don't know if that was the plan from Adelaide, because I know Ayrton would probably much prefer to be controlling the game with possession a lot more. But once you guys made those subs, you really kind of started to dominate, and you had those, like your AP had a good chance with I think his first touch almost. Aslan had I think he should have done better with that, to be honest. Smits didn't even touch it, didn't go out for a corner because the referee gave it, but he probably needed to do better with that. And that's the thing, you don't take your chances, and up the other end, Adelaide had two or three. Ryan Grant maybe could have been sent off if Johnny Yule was maybe a bit smarter and went down like who was it the night before for Perth? Someone went down. Was it Rose or whoever it was? Dobson maybe. Someone went down when Karthik just touched him. It's a red card. I think that could have easily been the same thing, but it didn't. And then both keepers were on fire. I think they were both at the top of the Paramount Plus index. However they get the scores, I don't know, but they were top of they were top of that, I think. And then Devonish Mears just had a stinker. Like it did take a bobble and a deflection, but he was saving everything. And then to kind of concede that was, yeah, just a bit of a sucker punch, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, that's why I went straight up to him and I just kind of said, keep your head up. Like at the end of the day, mistakes happen in football every single game, every single week. And for me, I think he's been our standout performer the whole year. I think he's saved
Mm.
us so many points. And unfortunately, goalkeeper is a very cruel position in when you do make one mistake, it usually leads to a goal. And unfortunately, that time it led to a goal. But I think in the game itself, he probably saved two or three that probably would be goals any other game. So it's one of those, it's disappointing. But I think, yeah, you summed it up perfectly. I think we dominated in that second half, especially when we made the subs and Stammer and Arslan came on for us. But yeah, it was just frustrating the way that we are giving up chances and then eventually concede, and then now we lose and we kind of fall, a little bit behind now the pace of the Jets, who obviously won again. They're absolutely flying.
Yeah, well, they're the only team that's actually, I think we said it last week, they're the only team that's been consistent. And if they had a bit of a better start to their campaign, because I remember after the first 5 or 6 games, like everyone was kind of saying, oh, they won the Australia Cup, but they're not good. It was just a bit of not a fluke, but it was just, pre-season cup, whatever. And now it's like, fuck, they're absolutely flying. And I think there's still a decent amount of games to go. Nine matches, 10 matches for some teams. I still think someone can catch them, but probably for Auckland, this game, the catch-up game against you guys tomorrow night or tonight, by the time this gets out, is massive for them. Like they're 5 points behind. I think you need to be they need to be winning it to kind of keep pace with the Jets, just because they don't really look like they're gonna drop points. It would be I guess a good thing for the league. I guess you got someone like a Newcastle Jets up there, and probably for everyone in Newcastle involved with the Hunter region. Football hasn't been, what was it, 2017, 18 when they made the grand final and got robbed.
It's a long time ago now.
Since then,
Yeah.
like they've not been like, and even then that was kind of like a bit of an outlier year where they came from nowhere. So they've only had, I reckon, in like 15 years, yeah, probably 15 years, 14 years, like one like really good season. The rest have been very poor. So it's good. It's good for the region. It's good for obviously everyone involved in the club. But you guys now obviously had this quick turnaround for the game against Auckland. It's played at Leichhardt, right? Is the pitch in any better conditions or what?
Well, I think it's going to be a lot better than Allianz, because I don't know what the fuck happened there, but it was good for the first game. And then we rocked up the other night and it was like a runway in the middle of the pitch. They'd replaced like half of the pitch. And I know it was also like that for the rugby the night before. But yeah, like, that's no
What
excuse, but it'll be
what was
nice.
it like? Did it play poorly though? It looked a bit slow, to be honest. Like I don't know
Yeah,
if they
well,
did
it's just
wet it.
strange because so apparently they got the grass in from Melbourne on a truck, and apparently the day that they brought it over, it was like the 40-degree day, and apparently by the time the grass actually got to Sydney, it was burnt. So that's why
Didn't
it
put
looked.
sunscreen on it.
They didn't put sunscreen on the back of the truck. So then when like that's why visually it literally looked like green grass and then like not so green grass and then green grass on the other side. So yeah, the middle of the pitch, and it was actually a lot drier and a lot harder. And then on the sides of the pitch, the grass was like really long and really soft. So it was just a little bit, yeah, not an ideal surface, I suppose, when you're
Yeah,
talking about the raw and things like that. And then, obviously we've just had Allianz relayed, and then it's 2 games in, it's not looking that good. Yeah, it was a bit
yeah,
frustrating, but we're back at Leichhardt tomorrow night. Well, obviously, yeah, Monday we're recording. So tomorrow night we'll see. Apparently the deck there is in unbelievable nick. So absolutely no excuses on that front, and massive game for us against Auckland. We played them 10 days ago. We lost over there. Now on the back of another loss. So huge game for us. We need to bounce back. So looking forward to that one.
yeah, yeah. And it's again like one of those ones. I think obviously you want to get top spot if you can, minor premierships, but like top two is the best because you get the week off and you get the second semi at home. So realistically for you guys, this one's that big 6 pointer, gets you back kind of in equal points with Auckland if you win it, and gets you kind of a bit away from everyone else. But if you lose a couple in a row and the teams behind you win, like you can drop very quickly. It's still like even Brisbane Roar, like I'm looking at the table now, like they've been struggling for so long, But you look at it and they're in eighth spot on 22 points, but they're only 4 points behind Adelaide in third. So you get a couple of wins in a row and teams draw around you or lose, and it's still possible. And like Perth Glory, I think I saw someone saying, oh, that loss, the other night against Newcastle maybe has ruled them out of finals, but not really. Like they're on 20 points. Like they're only 4 points out of the six. So like it feels like that for a lot of teams because a lot of teams are actually dropping points, but because everyone's dropping points, it's kind of not really making much of a difference. So I'll be tuning in, bit of time difference, so I'll be able to watch that before we head off to training. And that should be a good game to watch. And then after that, you've got obviously the Champions League as well with City again. They're flying in the Champions League. So strange, kind of like a bit like Tottenham, I guess, where the league form is no good, but the Champions League is good, and City in Australia here are doing the same. I know it was Ulsan's first game, I think, after their break, so they're not really match fit, which is a bit of a unfair advantage, but it is what it is. But away from home to be winning that game is massive, and it's great for Australian ranking points. It's great for them because they're going to go to this competition. You'd think with the last eight, it's only out of 12 teams, but still, the last eight they've locked that in. See how far up they can kind of go. It's great exposure. But MacArthur Bulls need to turn it around, but it's good if you're an Australian football fan. There's plenty of games to watch during the week before the A-League kicks off again.
And Eunice has been a great addition so far. I think
Yes,
him
he has.
coming back, obviously he was coming back and looking for game time and wanting to impress here in the A-League, so he's definitely got off on the right foot. And Daggers is another one who's come back and straight back in the goals as well. So it's going to be interesting. I'm sure Stammer was wanting to get his goal, and as you said, like he nearly scored as well in the first minute. Like what that would have done for his confidence, but hopefully he can bang one in tomorrow night.
Yeah, it's one of those ones where like, I think as any player at a new team, like you kind of always go off like, oh, well, for me as a midfielder, I'm always looking like, can I get 1 in 3 when I'm playing? It's like that number 8, number 10. Here it's a bit different. I'm playing deeper. When you go to a new team or the season starts, you always want to get one early because you feel like, oh, I've got like a few games in the bank now. Like I don't have that pressure. And I think as a striker, it'd be even more so where you're like, I just want to score straight away because then I score again, and it kind of becomes just that habit. And Eunice is doing that, whether it's off the bench, whether it's starting. Daggers has obviously done well in his last 2 starts. We spoke about it last week, but to make the Socceroos, like you need to be performing, and there's so many probably twists and turns in that squad. I'm sure with Popper deciding on, I'm pretty certain he would know, probably 15, 16, 17 players. I'm sure then the last 10 it's up for grabs. But injuries come in, like we saw Lewis Miller. Unfortunately, he had a really bad injury. I don't know if it's been confirmed what he's done exactly, but
Achilles
like
apparently.
like ruptured his Achilles.
Yeah, apparently. That's what I heard today.
Yeah, so it's 12 months. Like it's not even like World Cup's not even a thought. It's more like fuck. It's a very tough injury to come back from.
He
So
would have been a
hopefully,
lock. He was
yeah,
definitely a lock.
for that right wing back position, I feel like he was probably the best. Well, I'm not speaking badly about him, but like technically, if you're playing in a team that wants to, keep the ball, recycle it, dominate games like that, he's probably not the ideal one for it. But if you're in a team that, wants to sit in a bit deeper, soak up the pressure, counter attack, physical set pieces, he's been probably one of the Socceroos' best players since Popper's come in, I reckon. So I think he was a lock, and I guess it was probably just who's going to be the other right wing back after him. Now it kind of throws it wide open to a few other players, and you just got to see how it goes because I'm sure, touch wood, it doesn't happen, but it's just part of football, right? There's always going to be injuries every week. There's injuries. You don't know when it's going to happen, and it opens the door for other people. All you can do is just play well and hope you get that phone call, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Before we go on to the mailbag, one last game I want to talk about, Western Sydney Wanderers. Ryan Fraser himself he's on fire. He's come in, honestly, that cut in on the right foot is working an absolute treat. But the Wanderers, I don't know if you saw the game, but they absolutely blew this one.
I Yeah, I actually watched the first half and I was like, Wanderers all over them. It was 2-0, could have probably been, not more, but they were just completely dominant. And then Orlando wanted to go for a walk and see the donkey here. So I had to go, I had to
Did
go
you
see
say
the
the
donkeys.
donkey's here? I'm right here.
I said,
I'm the
listen here,
donkey that
mate.
played when I was meant to be suspended.
Yeah, exactly. But the donkey actually escaped out of its enclosure the other day, so that was interesting. Anyway, so I've come back and I was like, oh, I'll quickly just check the score, and I was like 2-2. It's like fucking hell, like what a comeback from Wellington, and I guess what a disappointment from West Sydney, who I thought, you know what, they were actually playing really well in that first half, and I thought, you know what, they're still if they won that game, you know, they're still kind of in with a bit of a chance. Again, it's so tight, so you just need to win a couple of games here or there, and you put yourself back in there. Like if they went to 19 points, all right, it's a bit, 5 points behind, but you win 5 or 6 in a row, it's okay. And the players they've got, they're just, I don't know, I think they needed to make the change earlier in the season with the coach. Like I know it's easy to say now, but from watching them now compared to what they were playing, like I feel like at least now it looks like they've got a lot more spirit. And I heard Gers talking on SEN with Adam Peacock about it, and sometimes it just does get like that with a coach for whatever reason, and that's where I think the people in charge that making these decisions, because there's no relegation, there's no urgency to do it. But at the same time, like there has to be like key signs that you can see within the players. If players, or not just one, but multiple, are playing well below their best, you have to kind of ask the question. And then I don't know, like I don't know how close, obviously, the people are that make the decisions to the training ground and watching training and seeing the players interact. But it does seem like there's a little bit more of a spring in their step now. But the results, you get into a losing habit. It keeps on happening, and that's kind of just the way it seems it is for them at the moment. So we'll see. We'll see if they can turn it around. But I don't really see them pushing for finals. I think probably them, Central Coast, and Wellington, even Perth, I'd probably put in there. I'd say those four is going to be hard. I think we do have a few questions later on, and someone does ask us for our top six, so I won't reveal it completely. But does it feel like that when you're out there playing against those teams? Like, do they feel a little bit weaker than the others, or?
I think not with Western Sydney. Obviously they've had their struggles throughout the season. I think the whole stage scenario got a little bit stale for the players, but I think they actually have been playing a lot better. Probably put the derby aside. The other games, I think they actually have looked a lot better. They're playing some decent football in patches, but I think it's just that lack of confidence and that kind of fear that creeps in. They had a really, really good chance, one that fell to Barbarouses that he probably should have scored. That would have made it 3-0, and that was, close to the 70th minute. And then 5 minutes later, they concede a set piece. And it's like, fuck, like, surely this isn't happening. And then from then on, you can sense the fear in the players, and then they end up conceding another one. So, yeah, I think it's one of those where the players are probably feeling really frustrated because I feel like they're probably all feeling like they're performing well under where they should. And then it feels like you're not getting any rub of the green as well. But I think it definitely has changed since Gary's come in, but it's just hard. It's really hard to rate a coach now on this back half of the season when, you're kind of joining a sinking ship, not for anything else rather than where they're sitting on the table. It's kind of hard
Mm,
to really come in and change that mentality when it's halfway through the season.
yeah, no, exactly. And that's, I guess, the decisions, that are there, like coming. Obviously, again, because there's no relegation, you can kind of put in interim coaching and kind of just see how things go. I don't know if they've got a plan of who they want to get for next season or whether they just want to see how it goes. Um, but like, I think you look at Perth Glory, for example, and they did it a bit earlier in the season. They did get those results that turned around, but now they've kind of dropped off as well. So it's just tough. Like it is tough being a coach. Like Thomas Frank obviously got sacked as well, and he was so good at Brentford. And now you look, he goes to Tottenham, and he's just stinking it up. It's just such a hard job. Like there's so many things that go into it, and I don't know if I would want to do it. Like I don't know what your thoughts are on being a coach. Like sometimes I think it'd be great, and other times I'm like, why the fuck would I want to do that?
Yeah. No, I think I'd love it. I think it'd be so rewarding. Like look at Millsy. I know it's easy to look at the other side, but like look at Mark Milligan right now. Like his first year coaching, like he's probably getting a move at the end of the year.
Yeah, I'd be very surprised if he's not at a Melbourne Victory or a Western Sydney or a Sydney FC potentially. I don't know what Wolfie's doing. I think he signed a 1 year extension, right? So like, I'd be surprised if he's not there. And yeah, of course you're saying that, and it's great. And obviously you have to believe in yourself.
But
Like
you
I
got to
think
back
you wouldn't go
yourself, yeah,
into
if
it.
you're
Yeah,
going in.
and you got to, and you got to have. I think there's just so many elements, obviously, that what make a great coach, and everybody thinks they're a good coach at the end of the day. Like, if you're a coach, you're not going to think, "Oh, I'm a shit coach. Oh, fuck, I don't know what I'm doing." Like, nobody would actually think that. Everybody would think that they're really good. I guess that's the biggest thing is like actually understanding the game is one thing. Then it's like, okay, well, can you actually get your ideas out of your head into the training sessions and into the videos, and then can you actually motivate the players to do it? Like, there's the three elements of it because you look at Newcastle's like squad on paper before the season started, you wouldn't have said that they're going to be anywhere near the top of the table, but like they're all playing so well, and they just look confident. Like they all look so confident. Of course, wins give you confidence, but like the confidence was there before the wins were starting. And some of their players, like that, Lockie Bayless, like he scored again. Like he looks like a really good player. He's probably going to be getting a move. Clayton Taylor wasn't even starting the season, but he's been coming off the bench. He scored so many goals. Lockie Rose,
Dobson.
Dobson, even like Burgess has kind of been transformed into more of a number six, which no one probably ever would have had him as a number six, but Millsy saw something in him. Like they just look really, really good, and that is the biggest thing with a coach. Like the coach can give you that confidence, can give you that belief, and then it can go the other end for whatever reason. So, but yeah, it's a tough job, and it's one of those ones that it doesn't matter how much success you have, the second the results start going the other way, you're out the door. Like there's not really the leeway, especially at the top level. Like look at Thomas Frank, like even Ange, like you can be so good, but if you're losing games, you're
Yeah.
out the door, and
That's where I
yeah,
think how much of it actually comes into it in terms of not actually your coaching ability, but being put in an environment that you're going to thrive. Like I look at someone like a Graham Potter, like unbelievable, and then goes to Chelsea, got sacked
mm,
straight away, went to West Ham, got sacked. But how come at Brighton he was so good? What about De Zerbi? You look at the same, goes to a bigger club, sacked. You look at any manager that's been at Manchester United in the last 12 years. Like, they're all obviously good managers. You look at all the managers that came before Ange and came before Thomas Frank. You like you had some of the best managers in the world at
mm.
Tottenham, and they couldn't have success. It was really interesting listening to the podcast and Ange absolutely hammering Tottenham for an hour.
Wow.
Yeah, it
I
was.
don't. Do you like before we go into the coaching stuff and continue on with what you're saying? Do you think that was a good thing or a bad thing?
I don't know. I saw, obviously, when you come out and speak, whether everyone's entitled to an opinion, but I think when you come out and you speak so openly, and you could easily go there and, just reserve everything and say, it was a great experience for me, whatever, whatever. But he was pretty harsh and straight down the line. I think when
Yeah.
you're speaking like that, then you kind of always opening yourself up to criticism. And I think I saw quite a lot of clips online of people hammering Ange, but at the end of the day, he is right in what he's saying in terms of he was the only one that could actually deliver them success. And then people are going, yeah, but it's a fucking Europa League, and these are the teams that they play. It doesn't matter. For me, that none of that matters. If you win silverware, you win silverware. It's like Arsenal this year. They'll probably just fall over the finish line, just win it. But it's not going to matter. Everyone's going to put Arteta down as a king, even though they can only score set pieces.
Yeah, set pieces. Not one set piece overnight against Wigan. 4-0 to the sword. Rafael Barrigas. See you later, son. But yeah, like I don't know, like I was listening to it. I listened to like the snippets of it that came out, and you saw like some of the comments, and then I listened to it today on the plane, and I was just like, fuck, like I can kind of understand because he would have felt so harshly kind of judged, and to lose his job in that way, like a lot of the other clubs that he left on good terms. He left to get a better move after having success. This is the one for a long time where he didn't have that success. So he probably feels hard done by, and obviously all he's saying is true from his perspective at the end of the day. Like that's I don't think anyone can question that. And he's, one that got to see it firsthand and kind of, yeah, see it all unfold. But it's just one of those ones where like, and I think it's wrong because I think you should always be able to speak your mind because otherwise then it's like it's boring. What people are gonna not say anything and then you just give the old, straight bat, give the answers that people want to hear and you're too media trained. So when you do that, people are like, oh, it's fucking boring. But if you kind of be honest about it, then now other clubs maybe are looking at it like, oh, was is that the manager that we want? Like maybe some would be like, you know what, I like that because of how he wanted success and he wanted to change. So some clubs would look at that in a really good way, but others, I don't know, is it red flags that, he's come out speaking badly about it? But I guess Mourinho, Conte, they all did, and they did it while they were in the job. So it's yeah, it's just a hard one because now the fans are obviously going to be defensive about their club and but yeah, at the top level, like there's so many things that go into making it as a coach, the environment, the club, like at Brentford, maybe Thomas Frank with all the data, with the lack of expectations makes it a lot easier. When you go to a big club, the stress, the pressure, you lose one game at a big club and it's a disaster. I felt that at Melbourne City. I don't know if you were like that as well, but when we lost, it was fucking like really, really bad. Like, and we weren't even a big club back then. We were big because we spent all this money and we got taken over by Melbourne City, Manchester City. But it felt like when we lost, it was really, really bad. Where compared to like an Adelaide, if I lost a game, it was annoying personally, but I didn't feel it from the club. And then if you go on a bit of a losing run, you don't feel that pressure compounding. Where at the big clubs, you can, and that can actually make the performances go worse. So I don't know what it's like at Sydney if it's like that as well. Western, you probably wouldn't have had that. No offense, but
Yeah, you definitely feel it more. You definitely feel it more at bigger clubs, and then probably times that by 100, and then that's what they're feeling at the bigger clubs in the Premier League because you got people from all over the world that are judging every single pass and every single performance and every single substitute that you make. So yeah, it would obviously be really hard, but I do rate it from Ange. I do rate it.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see. I'm very interested to see like where do you think he goes next? Like, if you're his agent, where are you getting him a gig?
I wouldn't be surprised if he gets another Premier League job, to be honest. I don't think he's going to
Really?
go back to a club of that stature. And I think that was probably the massive carrot because being an Australian manager, you always get kind of undervalued. I feel like you need to do so much more to then be maybe held at the same esteem as someone that's, European and has done maybe the same, if not less than you. And I think that's the way that he's always felt in his career, that he's always had success, but never really been looked at in the highest regard. So I think when a club like Tottenham comes in, it's like, fuck, that's a massive club. Let's go for it. But then now in hindsight, he's probably like, fuck, I wish I could have maybe gone to a Brighton, a club that's actually seems to be, really well ran and is going to buy into my philosophy and wants me there. And then now he's like looking back at Tottenham going, like, they were saying all of this, but then I get there and then you don't give me any money to actually go and get success. So you're saying you want it and you're a big club, but then you're not acting like a big club. Who knows?
Yeah, I think yeah, it's not easy. It's not easy. I think who's it, Igor Tudor, whatever his name is linked with the Tottenham job, and I just like find it. It's just tough. Like every club wants success. Every club wants to win, but at most other leagues, like if you look at it, like in Germany, realistically, it's Bayern Munich, like they're winning. Scotland, it's Celtic or Rangers, but of late, obviously Celtic this year. Hearts maybe is that up and comer. France is PSG. Um, Holland, maybe you've got a few teams that can go for it. Ajax, Feyenoord, PSV, Spain, Barca, Real, Atletico. But like, if you're not at those top teams, like nobody really expects you to win in the Premier League. Like, there's fucking 7 or 8 that potentially could be like we expect, we want to win, not we expect to win because I don't think some of them can say they expect it, but like we want to win. So it's not easy. Like it's really just not easy, and there's only one that can do it each year. So yeah, there's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of pressure at the top level. So hopefully one day you're there with your clipboard and your whistle and you're fucking giving the coaching fucking job a crack.
Give it the big ones. Well, let's go into the mailbag because first question I want to ask you from Leon: can Arsenal bottle the league?
Leon.
Give
Well,
me a
of course
spell,
they
Leon.
can. Yeah, Leon fucking Cameron. Um, I think they can, and like the thing that like even annoys me about it is because if they're, I'm sure Arsenal fan like players are seeing a lot of the stuff. Like it would get to them a little bit. They can say, "Oh, we're shutting the noise out," but you see everything, and like everybody's talking about this, but it's like, how are they really? If they do lose the league, it would be a disaster. I would be fucking gutted. But it's not really a bottle. It's like what 15 games, 14 games, whatever it is to go, and they're 4 points clear. Like they were 6 points clear, obviously dropped points, but teams have bottled it from way worse when there's been 2 or 3 games to go. I don't think they will. I think they will win it, but let's wait and see. I think the biggest one is like that Manchester City Arsenal game will be if it's within like what it is now 4 points in that game, like that's fucking massive. Like that's like when it was Liverpool Man City going for it, those big games. Like that's exciting. I would love for us to be 10 points clear, and it doesn't matter. But at the same time, I'd also love for it to be, 4 points or 3 points, and we kind of put out a statement and win that game to show, what we are the real deal and we deserve to win. So let's see, let's see. The next one will go from in the extras from George's. Does Ben Garuccio have a right foot?
I don't know if he's asking if I actually have a right foot because I've got one, but it's just basically for getting on the bus. That's it. I actually don't think my right foot's that bad, but
Any right foot
I'm
passes on the weekend, let's say, for example?
not sure to be honest. Don't get me wrong, like I'm left-footed and
Sometimes
I
you
feel
cross with
like
your right.
yeah, I don't mind
You
crossing my
chop with the
right.
left.
I don't mind playing a long ball with my right. I wouldn't really love shooting on my right, but I don't think I've ever scored my right foot, to be honest, in my career. I've not scored many goals in my career, but yeah, I don't know if George is. I don't know if he's taking the piss.
Yeah,
Maybe I have
he must
to
be.
get him on the blower, phone a friend.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Next one is Tony. And speaking of coaching, but this is a little bit younger, so maybe he needs to tune into the new series that we've just released, Born Into It. I think that's what it's called anyway. But what are the most important things for junior coaches of each age group? Like it's very, very vague. But let's just go like, I don't know, 5 to 8, and then 8 to the 12, and then 12 plus. What would you say?
Mm. Or I would say from the get go is just touches on the ball and just literally getting them out there as much as they possibly can and just working on very simple ball mastery because that I think is going to be they're not you can't teach tactics at that age. You can't even really teach a passing drill at that age when they're that young because they're just not going to take much information on board. So it would literally be just getting them out there and having as much possible fun with drills and being as creative as you can and keeping the ball off the guy that's trying to get it. Like you have a square and everyone's got a ball and two people run around trying to get the ball off people and just that they're learning to put their body between themselves and the defender and using this foot to dribble and using that foot and getting out of situations. And I feel like you just got to make it fun for them at that
Hmm.
age. And for a long time, to be honest, I think up until probably, you know, 10, 11, then you can start introducing some more kind of advanced things and some tactics. But up until you even get into the state teams here in Australia, when was the first time you actually did a proper passing drill where a coach said to you, receive it with this foot, pass with this foot, check off the man? Like you don't do any of that
Hmm.
before you
It's
maybe
different,
reach.
but it's different now, I reckon. Like
And maybe
compared to
that's
like,
why we're panel beaters.
yeah, but I also think it's kind of like gone the other way where like because of YouTube and fucking all of these different things, like everybody wants, their kid to be unbelievable and they, younger ages, they want the teams to be playing a certain style of football. And it's like, I just think like, yes, passing drills are okay because obviously like, you need to learn how to pass the ball. But I think that free play is like you said, is seriously the most important thing because even getting a kid to do the passing drill, like, are they actually benefiting that much? Like, if they go to train for 2 days a week, let's say for an hour or 70 minutes, and you do a passing drill, let's be serious. A lot of the time, the ball's going to be flying all over the place. And it also means like there's so much less time spent on the ball because, there's one ball only in play, more than likely, or there's two groups potentially of 5 or 6 players. I think, like you said, that ball mastery, having each kid with a ball for as long as you can in the session would be the best thing that you could do, and making it fun. And then you can go into obviously the dribbling, 1v1s or 2v2s where, there's still only one ball between 2 kids or 4 kids makes a big difference. I think there's so much emphasis on like teaching the kids about like shape and passing through and all right, using the right foot, but they'll learn that. Like if they have the technique, you can learn the right foot. Like that's easy. Like Millsy actually, I know is a big one because of I think it was Ange that got him to do it. Was normally I always got told use your back foot to receive the ball, but Millsy's very big on using your front foot to receive the ball because if you use your front foot, you actually get it first, obviously quicker, and then you're in control of it more because the ball's in between your feet. You can make a pass quicker. So it was a different way of learning how to do it. And that's at 29 years old, 28 years old, I learned that. And obviously I could do it. It's not as common to do because you don't do it, but you can learn that stuff whenever. I think the basics are the most important, and coaches probably go away from that. And in the juniors, they worry so much about winning games when it should just let them have fun and let them improve and everyone get as good as what they can be.
Let's go to the next one from Big Eric Pardaloo, our old teammate. For you, Steph, how far away are you from the Socceroos selection, and has your move to Vietnam enhanced that possibility or diminished it?
Big Eric, thanks for that one. Pumping me up. I think coming here has probably diminished it personally. I don't know. I don't know how close I was before last season. I thought I had a pretty good season last year, and when I didn't get anything from that, I think they had a camp at the end of last season. That's one of the reasons why I thought, this opportunity financially and to set my family up is too good, and it's if it reaches a certain amount, I have to go. And that was the case. I think coming here, even though the level's decent, and obviously we're playing in the Champions League, Shopee Cup, I just think it's just the way it is when you move to these lower Asian leagues. They're just not respected in Australia as much. Whether that's right or wrong, that's just the way it is. And I think in my position as well, there's a lot of good players in the midfield. But we'll see. We'll see what happens at the end of this season, whether I stay here or go somewhere else. But I think you'd be in a similar boat where, like, obviously you want to be involved with the national team. Of course, we were in it for as long as we could have been with all the junior national 17s, 20s, 23s, and sometimes if you don't, I feel like from our age group, the 95 is probably the one. Even though we had a good team, I feel like there's not like besides Izzo, Awa, Cam Burgess, but he only just recently got back in. There's not really many that made it through because it was like the national team coach was like, it was like they weren't really looking for young players back then. It was just keeping all the old ones and almost like skipped our age, 95s, even 97s, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah. Still,
I don't know if
it's
there's many others.
part of the game, unfortunately.
Yeah,
Or maybe we just weren't good enough.
yeah,
Either one.
exactly. Yeah, exactly. That's just the reality of it. I think there's a lot of players that like if you were choosing the team, if you were maybe we can do this closer to the World Cup squad, like we can choose our team and see what then the team is and see how close we get because again, like it's literally just one person's opinion or a
Yeah.
couple. Can't remember who I was speaking to about this, but they were talking and they were saying like they would love to see. Oh, it was fucking what's his name, Mark Robinson with the cricket, wasn't it? With the coaching panel, like I think that would be not a
Yeah.
bad one to actually have like
Yeah.
cricket, and it was like have a selection panel, so not all the pressure's on the coach and not all the demands are on the coach. I think that's actually not a bad way to do it. Just so you kind of, and again, they would probably do it with their assistant coaches and have a bit of advice, but I still think it can sometimes be a little bit narrow in the way they're thinking because they've obviously worked with certain players. But the reality is they're just trying to do the best they can. They're only choosing the best players that they think they're going to get wins, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. Let's do one more from Paul. Do you think A-League clubs can win Asian trophies?
Well, I think so. I think that the what I'm obviously competing in, the Asian Champions League 2, I think is the more realistic one. But the issue is obviously on the East, you may be able to win it. Like this year, MacArthur, for example. Um, I'm sure they would have been looking at it thinking we've got Bangkok, and if we win that, then we've got either Tampine Rovers or Cong and Hanoi. So we could be into the final of the East, same as Sydney last year, who played Lion City Sailors. They might have Canberra Osaka on the other side, or Pohang Steelers. Like potential to win, but then you've got Al Nazar that you've got to beat from the West if they make it. And if they play their strongest team, like the other day they played, I looked at their team, and they didn't play one like big dog player and they won. So they played all, I think it was local players. So it's like, imagine if they had like their actual strongest team out there, like financially, it's just so hard to compete. And I think the same thing in the Champions League Elite. I think Australian teams can compete with the Chinese from what I've seen, with the Malaysian, the top Malaysian, obviously Johor, Buriram, um, Koreans, yep, can compete. I think the Korean teams are a bit stronger, especially if they're in season, but the Japanese ones are just way too strong. And then when you go to the West over there, you've got the UAE, the Emirati clubs, the Qatari clubs, and the Saudi clubs that I think are just spending so much money. So I don't think anyone besides the Japanese teams can compete with that. But what do you think?
Yeah, I don't think a Aussie team will win an Asian competition for the next 10 years, to be honest.
Really?
Yeah, like look, unless the league does a massive U-turn and there's all of a sudden huge crowds and influx of money. But I think right now and the current economy of the league, I just don't think it's possible. Like it all comes down to money at the end of the day. Money, you have more money, you can get a better quality player. It's as simple as that. It's like you go to the shop and there's 5 bottles of whiskey on the shelf. Like there's one that's cheap, there's one that's expensive. There's a reason for it, and I just think like what Western Sydney done all those years ago was unbelievable. And
Mm,
back then, Saudi was nowhere close to what it was now. And I remember when I spoke with Nikolai Topor-Stanley about when they went over there for that game, and he was like, "Fucking hell! Like, how are we going to win this?" And they somehow did it. But even back then, they were like, "Fuck, we're up against it here." Imagine what it's like now when you get
yeah.
you're versing the best. Like, it's not just some random Saudi club. It's like you're versing Al Ittihad or Al Nassr. Like, they're spending more money than European clubs. How are you
Yeah.
supposed to compete?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Oh, I think the Asian Champions League 2 is the only bet that you've got. But even in saying that, like you've still got a Japanese, like one Japanese club, one Korean club on the east side. Plus, you've then got the teams from Malaysia, Vietnam, for example. I think if you actually looked at the wages that are spent, I think it would put it into perspective a little bit more, and people understanding, oh, fuck, the Australian teams are actually doing pretty good. Like to compete the way we're competing,
I
or
think Melbourne City are doing like
oh yeah,
unbelievably. I think if they didn't get out of their group, it would be like, you know what? Fair play. Like they've got a really young team. Like I think now you look at their team and it's a lot stronger. They've signed some experience, but I think the position that they've managed to get themselves in, I don't think they're probably getting enough credit than they actually deserve. I think in the ACL too, yeah, you can probably get through the East. I think you'd back yourself. And I think like in the recent years, they've kind of all made it there or thereabouts. Sydney probably should have done
mm,
better. MacArthur have been there. Mariners have been there. So they are about there. But then when you go to the other side, it's just, what can
yeah,
you do?
like you've got literally like even like Johor and Buriram, for example, the Malaysian and Thai teams would be spending
Massive
uh,
cash.
like I would literally just be pulling a figure out my ass. So I don't know if it's 100% accurate, but if they've got 20, let's say 25 players in their squad, they would be on an average salary, like I reckon of at least 200,000 US, and that's net probably. That's obviously taking into account some local league players, maybe on like local boys on less, and then some other boys on a lot more. But, that's like that's ridiculous compared to what like Australians. That's $7-8 million on the salaries, and it's probably more. Plus, you got big bonuses that they'll pay. Where in Australia, like players, it will be 3 million. Melbourne City's wage bill would probably be, I don't know, maybe 4 million this year, Australian. Like it's not even close. And then you've got the Chinese teams who are really struggling this year, and they would be spending way
Stink.
more. Yeah, I was going to say stinking it up, but be a little bit more polite about it. But they are like they're struggling so bad. But their wage bill, like it'd be interesting to speak to John, for example, at Chengdu, or even Muscat at Shanghai, or Montgomery at Beijing, like just to find out, like, is the league there better than Australia? Like, what do they think? Of course, every league's different, but it'd be interesting to know the general feeling of the league, because Melbourne City are doing so well compared to the Chinese teams. But the biggest gap is the Japanese. Like, you've got Vissel Kobe, Machida, Zelvia, and Hiroshima, the top three teams, and that's where I think the our biggest problem's going to be, is catching them. And I think we're only going to fall further behind them. And then you've got, obviously, yeah, the Middle Eastern clubs. Um, so it's just, yeah, it's just difficult. And actually, I was speaking to the PFA the other day, someone from there, about something else, and they said, the big thing from the APL was around, they want to sell players, and they want to, make X amount of money. And their whole thing was like, yeah, okay, you want to sell players, but that amount that you want to sell is more than what the J League does. And their league's way better than ours. Their players are technically way better than ours. So it's just like, it's one thing to have the idea to want to do that, but it's also, you got to be realistic. And I think this is the same thing with the Champions League. Semi-finals every year of the ACL 2 is good. Semi-final of the East, that's a very good thing. And if the team that's in ACL Elite, if we have one or two in there, and we one makes it into the knockout stage, I think that's good. Like, that's good.
Yeah, I agree. I completely agree. I just, as you was talking, I was thinking about when, I don't know if you went to the game, but the ACL final, we would have been probably 10 years old maybe, when Adelaide played Gamba Osaka. And you think back all those years, and the A-League was still so new, and we were very close. I feel like we were very close, and now probably you fast forward almost, well, 20 odd years, and it's like the gap is astronomical. And that's where you kind of see, like, what has gone so wrong, because we weren't far off, and now it just feels like we're a million miles off it, which is, yeah, it's disappointing, but it's the reality of it, unfortunately.
Exactly. And that's all we've got time for. You need to get to bed, because you've got the big game tomorrow against Auckland, and I've got training soon. So thanks everyone for listening in. Obviously, we're both disappointed. I'm probably even more disappointed than you are. Yours is all right. Like, you lost at home to Adelaide in the league, but ours is a fucking shit show. So let's see how we go
Hey,
on Wednesday
the
night.
beauty of football, we've got another week to turn everything around, and next week we might be here and we'll be laughing about the stories from this week. So that's
Exactly.
it's a beautiful game that we play. All the best, Steph, for your
Exactly.
games this week. Get through, and I'll hopefully see you in Sydney soon.
Thanks, guys.